Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, as well as the thumbnail, this is what we're talking about here. This is the relatively new Streamlight TLR-1 HL-X. This one has USB rechargeable batteries, has some different switches, has a different mounting method, has a different way of inserting batteries than the classic, the Streamlight TLR-1 HL. If I had to guess, this is probably the most common weapon light in America, and I'd bet by a good margin. So what Streamlight tried to do was add some upgraded features, interfaces, and even output in some cases, which we'll talk about here in just a second, to this guy. But it's not going to be quite the output monster like some of the ones they just announced at the NRA show, or offerings like the Mod Lite or the Surefire Turbo, if that makes sense. So kind of in the middle in terms of output. We'll check out the output here in just a second. But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the differences here on the light, some of the features, stuff like that. So it does come with two different sets of rear switches. It's ambidextrous. It's completely the same on both sides, which is different from the original TLR-1 HL. So they have the high switches, which I have installed here. They also have a set of low switches. Honestly, I can't fathom why anyone would want the low switches instead of the high switches. However, it's very easy to switch them out. There's just this little steel pin that you push out. It comes with a tool to do so, and you put them right in. If you wanted one high, one low on each side, you could do that. I don't know why you'd want that, but you could do that. Again, we have those inserts there for all different types of firearms, the same that Streamlight has been offering for a long time, your Glocks, your Universals, your 1913s, your Beretta 92s, etc. However, you'll see that our cross bolt here is different. So this one here has the shaved down head on there. So you're going to need something to either screw it in or to unscrew it, whether it be a 9mm casing, a coin, a screwdriver, whatever the case may be. That saves a little bit of weight and obviously also prevents the actual light from backing out just from holster wear, things like that. So I'm guessing that is why they do it. Also on this side of the light, that is where we have our release button for our lever. So the lever there is something that is different. The reason for that is that now when it opens from the front rather than the back, which it used to do on the old TLR-1s, which would require you to remove it from the gun in order to change your batteries out. So basically what you have to do is you have to push this button in here. That will unlock the lever. There's a little click. Let me see if I can get it on my camera. Hopefully you guys can hear that, but it does actually click into place and allows the lever to go forward. And then at that point, you're going to open it up and that's where your batteries would go. Now, as I mentioned, it does come with USB-C rechargeable batteries, and it also works with the CR123As. In terms of output, I'm gonna roll in all of the different outputs that we're talking about here today, both with this light, with the rechargeable batteries, the USB-C rechargeable batteries that it comes with, then traditional CR123As, and then we're also gonna roll in the data here for the classic TLR-1 HL. As you'll see, this light here with the original, or the standard, if you will, CR123As, is pretty similar in terms of output and runtime, outside of course, the little difference in battery life that you get there. But that's how close these are in terms of output. As you can now see through the magic of video editing, we have them mounted up, and I wanted to go over the interface. So again, we have the high switches on there, and the interface is the same for right-handed and left-handed shooters, which of course was not the same for the TLR-1. So if you want a constant on, you can just click it, and that will give you your constant on. Obviously, to turn it off, you click again. And if you want momentary, you just press and hold and release. And as you can see, it reacts very, very quickly. There's a light coming up that I'm gonna review in the next month or two that doesn't react very quickly, and I will beat it up on that point. But Streamlight is good to go on that one. So same in terms of interface. It also is 10-tap programmable. So if you want to program in strobe, you can. Basically, you just press the button real fast 10 times, and on the 10th time you hold it down, that will enable strobe. So if that's something you're interested in, that is something you can do. Now, I think pretty much everyone watching this video has probably used a TLR-1, but if you haven't, one thing you'll know is that for a momentary, you're gonna press and hold. And for constant on a right-handed shooter, you're just gonna click up, and that will stay there until you click it back down. Now for a left-handed shooter, it is the exact opposite. So that was one thing that lefties essentially had to learn how to use this light differently than right-handed shooters. And additionally, let's just be honest, right? The more ergonomic thing to do is the right-handed solution for that momentary on, whereas for lefties, it is super awkward to do. So for lefties, that definitely would be one reason I would definitely consider looking at the new version. I know many of you are patiently waiting for the beam comparison. We're gonna do that here in just a second. Again, we're gonna use the Mod Lite OKW as like the throw monster, if you will, and then of course the TLR-1 HL and the TLR HL-X. Now, before we do that, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is these folks, good folks over at Blackout Coffee. Many of you guys know who they are, but if you don't, they are a pro Second Amendment, patriotic company. Their owners care about the things that, if you guys watch this channel, you probably care about as well. They support the troops. They're at all of the good gun rights events and sponsoring them, which is huge. And here's the deal. Right now, you can head over to blackoutcoffee.com/Mrgunsngear. Again, that is blackoutcoffee.com/Mrgunsngear. You can also use code Mrgunsngear to get yourself 20% off your first order. Now, they don't just make ground coffee, rather, like we have here with the Morning Reaper. They also make whole bean coffee. They make flavors. They make pods. They have iced coffee. They have all kinds of stuff over there at Blackout Coffee. So definitely head over there. Use my code to let them know I sent you. And with that, we're going to wait for the lights to go out. We have our camera set on manual, and as you guys can see, we have a couple different forms of illumination here tonight. We have the moon being about 3/4 full, and then that red that you guys see there is bleeding over from my neighbor's security camera. So here is the output from the standard TLR-1 HL that we all know and love. Spot there where the wood fence meets the iron fence is about 30 yards away, 25, 30, and then those trees in the background are about 35 to 50, depending on the actual tree that we are focused on. You can see there, good defined hotspot. Again, I think most of us know this beam pattern by now. And then to compare that, we have the HPX here. So it actually is different. The hotspot's slightly different, but the actual outer ring, the flood, if you will, is different as well. I'm gonna try to move it off camera and let you guys see that. And then here again is the TLR-1. TLR-1 has a much less defined edge in the hotspot. Hopefully that's coming across here on camera. Again, this is the TLR-1, and then this is the TLR HL-X. So you can see that edge there. You just don't see that with the TLR-1. But, I mean, it looks slightly more intense in the hotspot as well. That could just be a color difference, I'm not sure. We'll see when we go across the lake. Now you're looking at the output from that mod light. You can see a totally different beam pattern. Very defined hotspot, a much narrower hotspot as well. And then, again, a hard edge that you see on there for the flood portion. And again, over here is the TLR HL-X and then the mod light. Now we're going to check out the throw of these lights. So I'm about 10 yards back on my property. From shore to shore here across the lake is about 110 yards. And then that little fishing shack that you guys are going to see here in just a second is about 10 yards back on my neighbor's property. So you're looking at roughly 130 yards. As you guys can see, like we said, we have some natural illumination out here tonight going on. But that's real world. That's how it works. So that is the illumination that you get right there from the TLR-1 HL. Note here on my property, this rosemary bush, sorry about the wind if that's coming across, but that rosemary bush there is still very well illuminated. And then we're going to zoom in there on that shack. And as I've said many times on video in these tests here, when we zoom in, that's closer to what I actually see in terms of detail with my human eye. You could tell for sure that somebody was out there. You could probably tell if something was in their hand. Describing it would be relatively difficult, though I could just tell you that practically speaking. And here you have the output from the HL-X with those USB batteries in there. Once again, we're still illuminating our rosemary bush, but you guys can see as we're focused on that shack, if we move a little bit off, that edge there does start to show up on the rosemary bush on the right side of your screen. And once again, we're going to zoom in there and take a look at it. Honestly, that candela to me looks a little bit better. I know they're rated for very similar outputs, but it looks a little bit stronger to me. And we're going to test that here in just a second. Zoom fully in there, and that again is the HL-X. And then that right there is the TLR-1 HL. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think it's slightly stronger with the HL-X. Could just be sample size of 2 lights, but I think it has a little bit of an edge there in practical use. And now you're looking at the output there of the mod light. As you can see, it is a completely different animal. It's going to excel in certain things and not do as well in other things, like situational awareness in a large, dark building, for example. However, at the point you are focused on, I mean, that's virtually daylight in terms of the detail I can see. I mean, I'd be able to see just about everything. That's exactly what it looks like to my human eye as I'm standing out here. I mean, that is detailed when we look at it. So again, just for comparison's sake, there is the Streamlight HL-X with those USB batteries. And then we can even overpower that there with the mod light, which is kind of crazy. So again, Streamlight HL-X and then the mod light just jumps on top of it. Not to say one is better or worse, it's just each has their own role for sure. With the beam comparison out of the way, a few things to talk about that we haven't discussed so far with the light. Number one, full disclosure, Streamlight did send this light out to me for the review. I've had it in since I think before they were actually announced. So well over 6 months now. I have fired it at every single range session I've been to on multiple different guns that you guys have probably seen footage of rolling in so far. So this light, as you guys can see, is pretty beat up, and it has been 100% reliable, provided this guy right here actually locks down this lever. So one time I went out there, I think it was with the Glock 17L, and I didn't lock down the lever after recharging the batteries. It came right out. So that brings up something that it is an additional potential fail point, if you will. Now, again, it is a user error. It is not on the light at all, but we are all human and can make mistakes. So you definitely want to make sure that you have that thing locked down if you are going to do so. In terms of price point, it's not cheap, as you would expect. The Streamlight TLR-1s aren't super cheap anymore. Now they're on the lower end of what most would consider a proven weapon light. But this guy here is going to be roughly, depending on the sale, things like that, it's going to be $20 to $40 more than your traditional TLR-1 HL. Is it worth it for you? Ultimately, only you guys can decide that. I'm just providing you the information, but what I will tell you is that it is a light that I definitely would trust with my life, which is the highest praise I suppose I can give any weapon light. Now, in terms of holster compatibility, it's interesting. So I would say that probably about half of my Kydex holsters that interface and lock onto the actual light work fine with the HL-X. Now, my Safariland holster that I have it for a Glock 17 with TLR-1. I also have it for a M17 but with a TLR-1. Both of those work just fine. The retention is just fine. But again, about half of my Kydex holsters that are designed for this guy will not work with this guy. It just won't lock into place right. Now, I don't know which ones will work in terms of a comprehensive use list, but if you have this light or you're interested in this light and you want to know if it'll work on your gun, definitely reach out to the holster companies and ask them. I would imagine at this point, most of them have probably picked them up because this has been a very well-selling light since it has come out. And it's been pretty popular for most of the reasons that you guys have seen here in the video. So I think with that, that's pretty much all I have for you on the light. It's a good light. I definitely recommend it. Pros and cons like everything else. But good to go. So if you guys like this type of video, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, whether you're on Rumble, YouTube, X, no matter where you guys are actually watching this. If you guys aren't seeing 2 to 4 videos that I put up a week, it's because there's an algorithm censoring your eyes from my content. Easy way to get around that is to sign up for the email list at the website here on your screen. This email will go out in 2 different formats. It will go out in a monthly email that goes out once a month, and it has all the videos since my previous month's email went out, so that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, that will get you put on the daily deals email, if I could speak, which goes out every day, and it has typically 8 to 10 of the best deals that we find around the internet on different items, whether it be lights, firearms, optics, ammunition, magazines, whatever, night vision. If whatever the item is in the email on a given day, it's the cheapest I know of for that item anywhere on the internet. So that way I've already done the price comparisons for you. So that way it saves you guys some time and hopefully some money as well. There's a good meme in there. People like the memes. So if you like the memes, you can sign up for that as well. And then additionally, we have an SMS service. That is exactly what it sounds like. It's you get a text message from me that goes out at most once a day, but not even typically every single day. And it either has one of 2 things in there. It will either have a just a smoking deal that I know is going to sell out really quickly, so that way you guys can actually be notified of it, take advantage of it before it sells out, or it'll have a new video that drops from me, once again trying to get around the algorithm that is preventing you guys from seeing my content. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.